listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NAX. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
High gas prices are certainly taking their toll on sales in convenience stores and in all retail channels. A new NAX member survey found that sales are down, traffic is down in stores. So that's one of the very many challenges that we all face in the industry in the year 2022. But there are ways to overcome these challenges, particularly around communications. And that's going to be the focus today. How do you communicate at the forecourt and drive traffic inside your stores? Welcome to Convenience Matters. My name is Jeff Lenard, and today we're joined by two guests who are going to take us through the communications process and how you can grow that traffic at your pump, get them inside the store, and get them coming back. So to join us in this conversation, we have two guests. We have Chris Hartman, who is Senior Director of Fuels, Forecourt, Advertising, and Construction for Rutter's, which is the oldest vertically integrated food company in the country. And Rick Sales, who is president of Abierto Networks, which has about 4,000 locations that use their products. So welcome, both of you. And I'd like to start with I'd like to start with Rick in terms of just setting the scenario for what we're looking at here. You spent almost 20 years in developing products that look at how do you communicate at the pump, at POS systems. Can you take us through this process in communicating at the forecourt to drive people inside the store?
Yes, and thank you. Good morning, Jeff. So I think it's really interesting. We've been doing this for a while, and I like to compare what happens inside the store with what happens in the forecourt. And today in the store, we have a well-defined process for medium and message. So menu boards are menu boards, and they're used in a certain way. They're in a certain location. There's messages that go in those menu boards. Impact screens are well-defined. Video walls have a certain purpose. So when we have conversations about strategy, different mediums, and different messages, and we're talking about the store, the players with most retailers have a good understanding of how they're going to help that consumer through their shopping journey. Then we step outside of the forecourt and we are in another planet. We've moved to 1991. Okay. And in 1991, it's all about process, right? So we're no longer talking about medium and message. We're talking about merchandising and getting the pump toppers, getting the card in the pump topper, and buying the pump with the display inside, even though the display is small, and all these things that are the practice of the industry. And this is really what people talk in the forecourt. And then the pandemic hit. And the pandemic exposed clearly that these things don't work, that they fail to achieve the goals that a retailer needs in the forecourt. Because right now, no one's coming in and no one's interested in the 2 for $2. People need to know what's happening in the store, and you're struggling to communicate it with printed paper. And the discussion has changed. And people like Chris, who are visionaries and see the problem, take the initial steps of saying, how do I change this problem? How do I change the medium? And how do I change the message to achieve the desired result in a world where I have a more distracted consumer that I need to convey more to? And that's where we are today.
And Rick, you mentioned pump toppers. In the year 2008, NAX led an effort to communicate about swipe fees. And so we set up something where we looked at, we'll get pump toppers out to retailers that want to tell their message and all that. And this is all paper and plastic and all that stuff. We found there were something like 33 different sizes for pump toppers. Starts to become an issue. And what we're talking about in communications today goes beyond the paper, which requires changing out and is fairly static, where you have to have it for a certain period of time. Certainly, you're not changing it by the hour. And then you're talking about other types of communications, not just on the traditional screen that you see at the pump, but also in different places that people can see. And Rick, I want to stay with you on this one and just kind of take us through the ways that people can hear or see a message go beyond the dispenser. And you can see very, very visual cues anytime while you're fueling.
Right. I think, we're all consumers. We all go to the store and fuel. So we all have the same experience. We know how distractive of a moment that is, right? We're putting our credit card in the machine. We're putting gasoline in the tank. We have people in the car. And I find it very interesting when I talk to a retailer and I try to have a conversation about what is that consumer's perception? What can they see and what attracts them, right? And we start talking about how the human brain works and it shuts down things that it doesn't need. Animation is key in that environment. And there's certain mediums that can provide animation and other mediums that can't. Similarly, large messaging, simple to understand messaging, clear calls to action, they all work in an environment where you have a distracted consumer and you need them to pay attention for 5 to 10 seconds and make a decision, yes, no, am I coming in or not? Is that driving me in or not? 2 for $2 doesn't get me to come in because 2 for $2 is available everywhere. And I know it, right? So the message is important and the medium has to be impactful and large enough to get me to pay attention when I'm distracted with 5 or 6 different things. It's a busy time at the Forecourt.
And of course, the key is to not just drive somebody inside the store, but to drive them inside where the more profitable items are. And Chris, I'd like to talk to you about how do you use communications at the pump to drive people to where you want to drive them, and what is the process that you go through in going from trial to conversion to repeat customer?
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me here today, Jeff, and good to be with you as well, Rick. It's always a tricky thing when you're trying to market to people, especially these days with our short attention spans, and trying to get them to go inside your store, try something new, do something different that's outside their norms. And so, it really takes something that draws their attention, but it also has to be simple. So, having something with colors and the right wording is really how I look at it as a message that gets across to different people. So you have to say, who am I trying to market to? What am I trying to market to them? And then what do they want to hear and see? And so we really focus on those keys for our market and our marketing that we do to get our message across of the new products that we have, the core products that we have. And that's how we drive the conversion from the fuel pump into the store.
And Chris, with our industry, we're known for beverages. I think when you talk about QSRs, you think you go there for food. Oh, by the way, get a beverage. You think with our industry, go for the beverage, hopefully get a lot more than that. But the idea of selling beverages, there's also a lot of motion, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of excitement that you can do so that they want to come into that cooler. They want to use that dispenser to get a fountain beverage. What are the things that you look at when you tell those stories at the Forecourt?
Well, I think first and foremost, that perception of, us being just a beverage stop or, a gas station is something that as an industry, we've tried to really change over a number of years of the gas station versus convenience store. And, using that verbiage of we're a convenience store is important in my mind because, we sell fuel, we sell gas, we sell diesel. And, that's obviously a big part of probably everyone's business that's listening to this right now. But at the same time, our industry has expanded into food, beer, wine, lottery, lots of other areas that we can offer inside the store. And, our customers may not know that we have those. So getting them to understand what do we have, what can we offer them that they want, and showing it to them in a way that makes them feel comfortable with coming in and utilizing whatever it is that they want to utilize is how you can really get someone from, thinking, okay, I'm here to fill up with gas and maybe I'll go in and grab a water at most to I'm going in to grab a, 128 ounce bag of spiked slushies to take home and go to my friend's party later tonight. Those are the things that I'm always thinking about, is how do we differentiate ourselves as a company and as an industry from that perception of just being a one-trick pony or being a smokes and cokes kind of industry, into we can offer you everything that you're looking for, one-stop shop, come and get it here.
And certainly when you have a gas price war, there's only one winner, and the customer will go someplace else every time there's a fill up. So you have to win every time. And the idea is, how do you focus on making your store the place where people go because of what you have inside the store? And oh, by the way, while I'm here, I'll get a fill up. And Rick, when we talk about communications at the pump, there is the dispenser, and then there's all kinds of different ways to get people's attention. And there's signage that can go past the dispenser. And so it's not just the gas price sign that conveys your gas price. It's not just the dispenser where you have the opportunity with a pump topper or maybe some sort of visual medium there on the dispenser, but also using signage on store windows that really make a traditional ad come alive, because it's a video ad, and it's just something that really stands out. And I would imagine particularly when it's later in the evening, where it just must pop and you just see high definition advertising that is very appealing and also very focused on what the customer can do inside the store.
Yeah, I think this is what's really exciting about what's happening today, and why I love some of the things that we do with Chris. And I show them to people as really leading edge examples of how we communicate with consumers today. So let's talk about that. The secret sauce of talking to consumers today is brand messaging. Brand messaging is what's going to create the emotional connection that is going to bridge the gap of price. Okay. The connection that I go to Rutter's because why go anywhere else? That is their tagline. That is the message. That's branding that we convey with words as well as with images in the film displays in the windows, because that's really what we want the consumer to think. Why go anywhere else? The brand message, that's a secret sauce of what we're telling people, right? So the film display provides an animated, live, beautiful, impactful canvas that allows you to deliver that right brand messaging. And since it's not paper, it does some things that are very, very unique and very key to the industry. The ability to day part that window, number one. Your message in the morning needs to be different than your message in the afternoon and in the evening. Technology allows you to do that without labor. Traditionally in the past, you would send people to merchandise different messages. Today, automation can handle that distribution of messaging, so your people can focus on being creative and thinking about the right brand message as compared to putting up the right message at the right time. Technology will do that. The film, by it being a large display, it is also something that people cannot ignore. We know that from the way that we're built, we cannot ignore movement, right? When we were, cavemen, movement meant that there was food in the bush or there was something that's going to eat us. So it's clear that we can get consumers to react to animation. And it also well studied and understood that static signage, the brain will autonomously discard when it's not relevant to you. So you can spend a lot of time putting together an ad and not hit the consumer. And with a playlist, you can have 10 ads and bring up 3 messages that are relevant to the consumer and trigger the proper emotional response to get the consumer to come into the store, which is really what you're trying to accomplish, is that consumer to reach that decision that I want to come in. When you come in, the rest of the signage takes over. Remember, we have a robust strategy for signage inside the store. I got you to come in. Now I'm going to direct you to my profit centers. I'm going to direct you to my LTOs. I'm going to direct you to the things that you know and love about my brand. But in the forecourt, I needed you to make the decision, I must come in, okay? And I did that with properly day-parted messages, impactful images, and animation, and simple calls to action. My favorite call to action is Chris's Beer Cave, right? We have an ad that runs on the film display, and the film display shows beer messaging, and it says, our beer is at 29 degrees. A simple message that speaks volumes about what's going on inside the store. It tells you, I have a beer cave, which means I have a variety of beers, including potentially your beer in cans and bottles and all sorts of different choices. 6 words said that. And my beer is always cold. 2 words said that. My beer is always cold. You can count on that. So this is really very powerful messaging tied with animation and visuals that get you to pay attention, say, yeah, the beer at Rutter's is always at 29 degrees. That's part of the Rutter's brand. I accept that. So when I need beer, Rutter's is at the top of my choice list. So we have accomplished 2 things with Forecourt signage: increasing traffic to the store and increasing a revisit. Okay? Using the large medium and using impactful messaging to achieve that allows you to have the indoor signage take over and direct the consumer to your conversion and sale. We think that that is the way of the 21st century in a distracted world, to help the consumer make a choice by providing them good messaging at the Forecourt. Chris, you want to expand on how you make that happen?
I think you touched on a lot of good points there, Rick. In my mindset, digital is the way of the future. It's the way of the now. Having digital signage helps fix some of the labor issues you'd have putting up signs, removing signs, forgetting to remove signs or forgetting to put up signs. So it helps change, what's going on there. It makes it easier to quickly adjust your message if you need to something that's maybe going on currently. If you've got a loyalty program that gives cents off rewards, like ours does, when gas prices started getting higher, we wanted to make sure we were pushing that message that, hey, you can get 3 cents off a gallon every day at Rutter's. Why go anywhere else? And so letting them know that all the time, whether it's at our pumps, on the screens we have there, on our signs, at our fuel signs where we have digital screens as well, or whether it's with, the LED window film, all of those messages are used to send, our customers the right idea that come here, you're going to get your cents off of fuel. If you buy stuff in the store, you can get more cents off of fuel. That's the mindset customers have right now, is how do I save money on fuel because it's so expensive. So being able to adjust with digital assets like that really has been important to us, because it allows us to get ahead of maybe some others in our market that don't have those digital assets and don't have the ability to adjust their message like that. And so, it's not just social media, it's not just your app. You have to be able to do it when people are driving, when people are standing there filling up. And even if they're not filling up and they're parking in front of your store, our stores that we're building are 10,000 plus square feet. That's a big store. They may not get around to the whole thing. So they're seeing things that we're selling that they may never have known that we were selling, because a lot of customers pinpoint what they need. They go to that area, they pick up what they want, whether it's a candy bar or a case of beer or a hot dog, and then they proceed to check out. And so our ability to let them know all the different things that we have and the things that they likely are looking for allows us to, really grow our basket with them, and allows them to spend less time going from store to store, because as we all know, customers these days are time starved. And I think more so than ever after the pandemic, we learned that time is short, right? And we enjoy doing things that we want to do. So we want to take advantage of that. So these days people are wanting to, go and stop at one place that's clean, that has what they need, and then they can move on with their lives and go enjoy them. So, building your brand and your messaging around your brand is important to growing that perception with your customers and, making them choose you over your competition.
And it really does, Chris, fit into the overall narrative of telling the store's story. And before I get to that, Rick, I think it's so important when you mentioned the 29 degrees beer cave. Here we are in the hottest point of the year. You see something that says 29 degrees. Even if you don't like beer, you may go in that beer cave and just cool off for a minute. Or it just says, hey, you know what? I bet they have really good HVAC. It's going to be a nice, pleasant store at a very hot time of the year. I'm going to go in and check it out. But going back to my point, Chris, is if you think that the only time to incent someone, if one thinks the only time to incent someone is when you walk through that door, it's too late. You have 3 minutes, 4 minutes when somebody's filling up. That's roughly idle time. And then they literally step on the gas in terms of how they speed up their day. Hopefully not the gas related to the car. But then they go in the store and they attack. They go through quickly. But that's a great chance at the pump to tell people, okay, when you speed up, when you're done filling up, you're going to go inside this store. Think about this, ties into the app, ties into other messaging, and you go from somebody that didn't expect to buy something to a repeat customer, to a loyal customer, to an advocate. I imagine that's the process, Chris, that you go through when you look at how do you use signage.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's telling our story. We talk about our products, we talk about, our service, but, I'm also proud to talk about, what we pay for our employees. Starting wage of $17 an hour is something that I'm proud to say that out there. And I think it sends a message in our community, being in a more, rural community, that, hey, they're taking care of their people. And I think they see that reflected when they come in and they're greeted with nicely, they're taken care of nicely. They see the cleanliness in the stores. And then we're also able to talk about the different charity that we do, the charity work, which means a lot to us as well through Rutter's Children's Charities. And, we can show how we're making an impact in our communities. But the great thing is we can do it digitally, and we can show it to them whenever we want to, and we can show them what we want to show them with the click of a mouse, with a picture that we took just yesterday, and we can have it out at, all the stores that have these digital assets right away. So, there's a lot of benefits to it. And, again, building that story, that brand, that thought within a person that, I'm going to skip this guy down the road to go to Rutter's, is something that I've worked really hard on. My dad's worked really hard on. And as the fourth generation, all the generations before me have worked hard on to build that, connection with our community. And it's just that times change, and now we've got to do it in a quicker way. We've got to do it with people that, maybe didn't always grow up with us as we move into new spots. And so we've got to be able to sell that story as we grow, and as we change and adapt, that we're doing new things, exciting things, and here's what we're doing, and hopefully you like it. And then it allows us also to get feedback from our customers on, man, we really like that, and it allows me to adjust what we're doing if they like it or don't like it very quickly to those thoughts.
Yeah, and if I may build on what you're saying, Chris, because it really makes so much sense and it's so powerful. I think that the brand experience is what people embrace, is what people come back to. And you've talked about different elements of the brand experience. And I'm excited about some subtle elements of how we contribute to the brand experience using the medium, and in particular, the digital film. Right. So we've done some testing, and we've sent consumers to evaluate stores with digital film. And there's a lot of attributes that inure to the brand for the film. It is modern looking, so people say, this company is investing in the future. They have modern facilities. The film, I listen to a lot of people like Chris tell me what they're trying to do. And one of the things that we did with LG, because this film is a product of LG, and we have a collaboration with them to bring it to market using the open platform from Abierto. But this substrate is made by LG in Korea. And when we talked about this, we said, look, The design of the store is intentional so people can see the parking lot. The aisles are down, right? The people that work here need to be able to see what's happening outside. Consumers feel comfortable with a clean store. They're trying to keep the windows clean. We could have put monitors ages ago in the windows and conveyed digital messaging, but blocked the view. The film allows us to convey digital messaging in an even bigger canvas, but leave the store as it was designed and is intended, as a beautiful store with clear views where people feel comfortable and safe shopping. And the messaging is working the forecourt. So this not only is an evolution in how we communicate, it's really an evolution in technology of how we outfit the store. This film is 1/8 of an inch thick. It's almost not there. It looks like tinting, yet it delivers impactful messaging 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without any employee involvement at the location.
Well, and Rick, I'll just say, when, we were getting into doing the digital film, the thing that interested me the most was our ability to use media that we already had, and we didn't have to go create new stuff just for this one product. We were able to use, such as our Spike Slushies commercial, and cut pieces of it out and put it onto onto our windows. And so I found that really cool because it's nice, it's colorful, it has, some really cool movement in it. And then right next to it, I could also put some words, and, I could put really simple wording that said Spike Slushies, and then they could see what I was talking about at the same time. And that movement connects with people. It draws their eye. And then when you have a simple message right next to it of what it is, that really gets the message across quickly, and they make a decision. Does that mean something to me or not? And what I found is that, it does mean something to them. And, it does help create trial and draw people to our stores when we're able to do things like that, whether it's Spike Slushies or breakfast sandwiches or, coffee or anything else we're doing. That movement plus, the static nature of things allows us to get both their attention and sell the message to them at the same time. And when you're able to do that, it's a much more powerful thing than just a static sign, sitting there in a window.
So the first time you see these signs, I'd almost describe it like when you first watch the Harry Potter movies and you see somebody in a museum and their standard pictures and all of a sudden they move. It's like that. It's just, wow, I did not see that coming, and I can't imagine going back to another time. The other thing I think it does is it really takes your assets that people have to seek out, whether it's like your app, your website, things like that you want somebody to seek out, and you're just doing the reverse. You're pulling it out and you're saying, hey, you don't even have to look for this. Here's everything. And it also lines up with all our assets that we have online or on our app, et cetera. Give the last word to you, Rick. For somebody that's interested in this, what's the thought process? What's the next step for how they might up the ante on their communications at the Forecourt?
Well, so a couple of things here. So I encourage you to visit us at ab-net.us. And on our website, we describe the technology, and we have lots of photography and video so you can see what we've done with other clients and what's available. So that's a great place to learn. I also encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, because we do post a lot of client content in LinkedIn. You can see what other folks are doing. But we are very happy to get together with you and have a conversation about your marketing strategy and decide what things fit your purpose, because there's lots of different mediums. Remember, medium and message. There's all sorts of different mediums for your store. The film is an amazing medium to talk to the forecourt. And if you have a store that has a lot of traffic, it's going to be a very powerful medium to build traffic into the store as well. So understanding your store profile and understanding your messages are super important here. And I think the last thing here is I think when I talk to a lot of executives, they wonder, how hard is it? How much is it going to cost? They look at the idea, they like it, and it's new to them. So they wonder, what's the lift here? What do I have to do to make this work, right? And I'm grateful for Chris's comments about being able to use the content, because this was really a strategic decision from Abierto's point of view. We said, you know what? The point here is to make it easier for the retailer to be creative, to work on their branding and messaging strategy. It's not about creating busy work. It's not creating a different type of digital merchandising where lots of people need to do a lot of work. Is to change the way things work so the retailer can invest in content, invest in creative, invest in technology, and drive their messaging. So that's an important conversation early on, understanding how the formula works differently, what much more you can do, when you change your messaging during the day, and really discussing whether that fits with where you are on the marketing continuum, right? You need to be thinking strategically. You need to be thinking, how do I go beyond selling a cup of coffee to having people experience what it might feel to walk into my store when they're in the forecourt? It's a totally different level. One thing is, yes, you have coffee. I know everyone has coffee, right? But yes, I know you have the most amazing coffee, because you just, brought in bean to cup or whatever it is that gets me to find out if that's true. Or if I know the brand, gets me to follow up on it because I trust the brand. So, it's a great place for me. I do get to talk to a lot of people who have exciting views about the future, very positive expectation of how our business as an industry is going to grow, how we're going to serve consumers, and they want to tell people. They want to tell people about online ordering. They want to tell people about curbside pickup. They want to tell people about what's crew serve versus self-serve. There's so many things to tell today that is an exciting time to find a new way of doing it. So if you want to learn more, reach out to me. Go to our website, visit us on LinkedIn. Let's have a chat and let us hear what you're trying to accomplish, and we'll be happy to share some thoughts with you.
And of course, if you also want to see it, you can go to Rutter's. Rutter's is based in York, Pennsylvania. Rutters.com, about 80 stores in 3 states, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and West Virginia. And from what I heard from Chris, you should not just look at the signs. You should go inside and check out their spiked slushies, among other things. So thank you both for joining me today. And for anybody that listens to Convenience Matters, you can also subscribe and get the episodes weekly to your mailbox. Thank you both for joining us. Thank you for listening. And catch you next week.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.